Looks like we have 2 people here. What's going on? Hope everybody is having a great weekend. Start to a great weekend. It's Friday. Give me 1 second. I'm going to hop on my Discord and just let everybody know we are starting. Give me 1 sec. We are back. What is poppin', everybody? So I am visiting my family and a bunch of my friends back home in Virginia. If you've seen my video about my life growing up in the 90s and 2000s making art, this is the same little area that I shot that video in. That's one of my favorite videos I put together because it's just super nostalgic and looking back at all the fun stuff that I've done growing up, and it's a lot of fun. So let's see, I've just figured kind of like while I'm, out of town visiting and stuff, I'm still doing some freelance stuff, but the YouTube stuff kind of gets put a little bit on the back burner. We just wrapped up the factory Pomo kit. I appreciate everybody's support who's picked that up and used it. I've seen some really cool stuff of some of you guys using some of those factory Pomo pieces. So greatly appreciated you picking that up and supporting me and my channel and what I do, and over on Patreon and all that kind of stuff. So huge shout out to you all. Thank you all so much for that. And yeah, I figured today we are not going to be focusing so much on tutorials and design and stuff like that, as much as just kind of having a fun time checking out some of my old retro stuff. So I just kind of figured maybe we could just start out looking at like just some games, toys, artwork, different kind of things like that. And if anybody has any like particular things that they want to see back here that you want some explanation of, like what it is or anything like that, like how I came across it, feel free to chime in. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, I guess maybe the first thing we'll kind of do is start checking out some of the let's see, where can we even get started? There's really truly so much stuff. I guess let's see, right up here, you can't really see it, but there is here, let's just take this over here and start playing with some of this stuff. So up here we've got a whole lot of Ninja Turtle stuff, Ninja Turtle, Star Wars. Actually, let's look at this. So I'm going to flip this around really quick. So these are my grandparents. They are all passed away, and I love them, and I miss them so much. We're not focused on them, though. We're focused on toys and stuff like that. So this is something that I inherited from partially my uncle Mark, who's an awesome guy, huge influence on me growing up, surfing and skating and all that kind of stuff. And he was a huge Star Wars guy. He was around for the original Star Wars. And part of this came from our neighbor Dale, who lived across the street from my grandparents in like the Chesapeake and Virginia Beach area. So I've got some really cool, authentic, original Star Wars toys. This isn't even everything. There's also some other stuff. Got some other cool Star Wars stuff over here. But yeah, pretty much a fun little Star Wars collection that we've got up here. As you can see, other stuff mixed in. We've got some Nightmare Before Christmas, E.T., Ninja Turtles. Trying to think of what this was. This was some series that I liked as a kid, and it was very vague, and I don't remember liking it for a long time. But cool toys. We got some Lego stuff that I built just for fun. All kinds of cool Sega Genesis games. So Sega Genesis was my first system, and I picked up a Sega Genesis. I want to say we got it at the very end of its shelf life, right as it was going on sale, and the games were like $5 a piece. So I remember it was kind of like a family thing. We figured we'd get a Sega Genesis and pick up a bunch of really cheap games. And I remember the next day after we got them, just spending the whole day with my little brother, just playing through all these games. And it was the kind of thing, I believe we picked it up around 1999, like the summer. I think it was the summer between my 3rd and 4th grade year. So yeah, just playing some Sega Genesis stuff, and that's a fun little collection. And for years and years, you could find these games, at Funko-Land and Software, etc., and all these game stores that are now, no longer around and stuff. Down here we have Sega Dreamcast. Now this Dreamcast does not work. I believe this is the first Dreamcast I ever owned, and it just stopped working. We have some old school controllers, that clear Y2K green. One thing, actually, I don't want everything to fall out, but as you can see, we can go fishing if we want to with the original Dreamcast controller. Oh no, I've dropped a controller. It's okay. It is okay. We're actually going to unplug that. That's a little creepy, right? That's actually a really sweet little thing that I had as a kid, but it sounds creepy if you aren't expecting it. So yeah, fun little Xbox Dreamcast corner. This was the laptop that I used in high school, and maybe like 2 years, 3 years after high school. Whole lot of CBZL stuff was done on here. Kind of learning how to do music and graphics like on a computer. I grew up doing a lot of organic stuff, so I played guitar and played piano and played in a band and drew a lot of stuff. I like make all kinds of little drawings and stuff like that, and I wasn't really doing anything digital until like really the mid 2000s. And this is kind of the computer that I was doing a lot of that stuff on. There's one other computer as well that I was doing learning a lot of stuff on as well, but that is actually with me in the Atlanta area. So down here we've got some VHS, some cassettes, some different stuff like this one is actually Stranger Things. It's a little bit out of place. This is obviously way too new to be here, but original Michael Jackson Moonwalker. We've got that old school Sonic the Hedgehog, Little Rascals. I was really into the Little Rascals as a kid. There was a 90s movie, and I guess because of the 90s movie, I just got really obsessed with Little Rascals and Our Gang comedy, all that kind of stuff. Captain Power, this was one of the coolest 80s like sci-fi stuff. It was way too rad for kids, so I think it only had one season, but it was really cool. My brother and I were obsessed with that as kids. The Ring, possibly my favorite VHS, my favorite horror film of all time, and probably because it has to do with the VHS medium and all that. I always thought that was really cool. And of course, let's not talk. We can't look at this and not talk about Shaq Kazam, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Look at this guy. One of my favorite movies when I was a kid. This is so goofy. It's a little cringy as an adult, but man, what a fun time. Bill and Ted, Pee-wee, Edward Scissorhands, E.T., The Matrix. We've got the Nine Inch Nails. What was this called? Closure, I think. We got the Star Wars, you know, all that Star Wars stuff. So check this out. We got a bunch of cassettes and all this kind of stuff. So I have this little 2XL robot, and it's not actually here with me, but it's back in Atlanta. But 2XL is essentially, he plays these little cassettes. He was like a learning game. It was a lot of fun. This was actually my mom's when she was a kid from like the 70s. My favorite pair of shoes from all time, the Converse high tops from 2010. These things were so boss. They'll never happen again. Hey, thank you, Ale on the Street. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're the Genesis collection, very dope. And I think we might have some other games over here in the like Sonic Sega area, but we'll get to that soon. Right now, we're talking about, I don't know why, but this pair of Converse was just like the specific pair of Converse that I just thought was the coolest of all time. And so kind of wore out their wearability, but they're still over here on the shelf. We have the CBZL hat. There are probably a few of you who are watching or eventually going to watch who are going to recognize this hat. There are all kinds of cool hats back here, all kinds of fun stuff. Sun Chaser, that was actually a prototype for one of the I did a bunch of merch like over the past 2 years for a bunch of various little music projects that I put out kind of over like the pandemic when everybody was kind of closed down and all that kind of stuff. Check this out. That is a 2005 Scene Kid hat right there. Oh, what up, Solana? Yeah, I know you know this hat. I know you know that. Oh, what up, Redless? Good to see you on here, dude. And then this little Las Vegas hat for that Fear and Loathing kind of vibe, you know what I'm saying? My favorite Ninja Turtle? Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. As a kid, my favorite was always Michelangelo because I'm a bit of a party dude. But as I've grown up and matured over the years, I've realized I'm just 4 Ninja Turtles in one guy. And really, you can kind of just catch me. You're gonna catch me in a Mike mood, a Ralph mood, a Leo mood, or a Donnie mood. And I kind of realized that a few years ago, and it kind of dawned on me. I'm just like all 4 Ninja Turtles. So it's kind of hard for me to say there's one that I just really identify with all 4 of them. They're all so great. So, oh, what up, Johnny? What up? So yeah, good to see y'all in here. I was just looking at the old CBZL hat down there. So this hat with these shoes, you know what I'm saying? Like that is the look right there. My brother and I were obsessed with ninja movies and stuff as a kid, and these masks remind us of the 3 ninjas. And that was just something that we loved as kids, and we wound up finding those. Oh, dude, Leo, yeah, Leo's a great leader. You know, he's got the qualities you want from a Leo. So yeah, from a leader. So down here, oh my God, dude, some of these shirts. So this is a vintage Sake Sawini shirt. This thing is so cool. I pulled this out last time. I was kind of looking at that. Really cool graphic. It's like coming out of this guy. This dude's like exploding all kinds of Pac-Man, power pills, and all this kind of wild stuff. Man, so many old t-shirts from over the years. A lot of cool t-shirt graphics. Sonic the Hedgehog, just various stuff. Is that a Rugrats shirt? I don't even remember wearing that. Actually, I think that is like, I can recall. I think that is like my brother's. So, man, there's some cool things in here, like this Pink Floyd shirt. It's like all these TVs. Oh man, check that out. That is a Nine Inch Nails Fragile shirt. Like authentic from 1999. I was a huge Nine Inch Nails fan in the early 90s, so I have some pretty cool like authentic Nine Inch Nails stuff. Man, it's just a little bit hard to hold the phone and all that kind of stuff. I'm meant to bring my little. I have like a phone holder thing that's really nice, and I totally left it in Atlanta. So vintage shirt. This is from my parents. They used to go out west a lot to like different places like that, Wyoming and stuff. So my dad got that sometime in the early 90s. Some pretty cool t-shirt graphics back here. I'm trying to see if there's anything in particular. Sonic the Hedgehog, Star Wars, various graphic tees. More Sonic, more just goofy scene kid stuff from the 2000s, boom boxes and various things like that. I wear a lot of boombox stuff, so a lot of that in here, and some old shoes, some various little mushrooms growing in the corner. You know what I'm saying? So this came from a chick who I dated like half my life ago, and this. We used to just run around doing wild stuff as kids, and we found this out in the woods in this like weird place, and I took it, and it came home with me, and it's just been living in various places that I've lived ever since. But for the past few years, just been tucked away down here with this other mushroom. I almost called it a marshmallow. Other mushroom, and yeah, check this out. This is an old school CD rack. This used to be filled with all kinds of CDs. They are now over there in that corner. But yeah, this thing will eventually get filled up with old stuff, old school CD player that I used to use. This was actually just a box. It's not actually even a CD player. So yeah, cool stuff on shelf one. A whole lot of t-shirts, whole lot of stuff like that. If there are any particular t-shirts in there that you wanted to see, just let me know. We've got some KMFDM stuff. I was obsessed with industrial music, so we've got some KMFDM, Nine Inch Nails, Gorillaz, some really cool, more of that just fun like PacSun Scene Kid stuff. This is actually a really cool graphic tee. Let me pull this one out, actually. Oh, sorry, it's pitch black for a second. Pulling this one out. This one is so cool. I was obsessed with this shirt when I was younger. So, oh, there we go. Cool. I thought this was the coolest shirt ever in like 2007 maybe when I got it. And yeah, I was wearing this from 2007, 2008, 2009. Yeah, fun stuff. It's not quite Y2K aesthetic, but I mean, it's so similar. It's got that like thick graffiti vibe to it. Like there was just this really cool 2000s graffiti vibe that was going on. I'm going to sit this down for a second and move this shelf out just a bit in order to access more of these cool t-shirts. We've got Tron. Oh my goodness, I know y'all want to see this one. Let me go ahead and pull this one out. Are there any others over here? Whole lot of Nine Inch Nails. I feel like everybody, there's so many millions of Nine Inch Nails shirts. Everybody sees those. But here's a fun one, and I'm sure some of you probably have this. This is not the biggest deep cut, but the classic mindless self-indulgence boombox with the rubber duckies. I was obsessed with this. Is probably one of my favorite shirts of all time. I was obsessed with mindless self-indulgence as a kid. This was one of the few shirts that was very easily accessible, so I was obsessed with it. Let's move on to more of the shelves, and we might come back and look at a little bit more t-shirt stuff. But for right now, yeah, let's move on. So actually, let's look down here. A couple of keyboards from back in the day, old monitor, old VHS camcorder. The first keyboard I ever played on. So I took piano lessons when I was like pretty much at the age of 5 to like 12, maybe 13, from a few different teachers. Dude, the Duckies, I know, that's like one of my favorite MSI shirts. Dude, I was obsessed with MSI. They were just like everything that, mindless self-indulgence and Jet Set Radio and Gorillaz. That was what I was obsessed with, putting in the highlights of the 2000s for me. So yeah, here's just a pile of fun stuff. Here, check this out. So I made this, I want to say maybe 2011, and it was sort of based off of Plastic Beach. It was actually for a sculpture project, and it was supposed to be sort of like a turtle shell that had turned into like an island kind of thing. And it's super goofy, and it just kind of hangs out at my parents' house. It's super ugly. It totally doesn't fit in with their aesthetic. But yeah, I was kind of just going for like this like weird like island with all kinds of little like mechanical pieces. These are supposed to be like little TVs and stuff kind of piled up and stuff like that. Sort of Jamie Hewlett inspired Tank Girl, sort of was kind of what I was going for. Plastic Beach, but not Plastic Beach, I guess you could call that. So over here, we got more of this camcorder stuff. This little corner is just all kinds of goofy stuff. We have like blow up stuff for your pool in the I used to have a lot of reptiles and stuff. I had 3 terrariums at once. I had like lizards and frogs and all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of left over from that era of my life. That's a long time ago, but fun times. Had a lot of fun doing all kinds of stuff with lizards and all those kinds of things. So yeah, more clothes. This is actually all clothes that I designed over the years, I believe. Maybe not all clothes that I designed, but mostly clothes I designed. Let's take a look at this one. This one I actually wore the shit out of during the Vaporwave era, so cool stuff. That was actually a sticker, and I never did a patch for that one, but it was a sticker and a shirt that was available on Etsy at one point, and that was a lot of fun. I did a bunch of cool different shirts back in the day. Here's another one of them that was also a sticker. Sold a ton of stickers and a few shirts. The stickers sold like hotcakes. I've sold thousands of stickers, thousands of stickers. But the shirts, sold some of them, and others not so much. I want to do some more shirts. I actually want to do some shirts based off of those utilitarian logos that I posted a while back, but we'll get to that. Let's stay on point. So childhood stuff, early childhood stuff, bunch of books. Let's actually take a look at this, because these are some highlights. Just early era stuff that I remember. So I remember this. This is a painting book. We're not even going to look at it, but for me, I love that thing. Animalia, we actually need to speak about this one for a moment. If you don't know about Animalia, let me teach you for just a quick moment, because you are going to appreciate the artwork in this book. So it's all about A through Z. It's just like a whole lot of insane illustrations. It's all alliterated, so it's all like an armored armadillo avoiding an angry alligator, and beautiful blue butterflies basking by a babbling brook. So it's all this kind of wild stuff. But man, the illustrations in this are so detailed and so good. And I particularly remember R for robots is a really good one. Look at these. Oh my God, the illustrations in this. I remember, gosh, looking back at this is just like, no wonder this is the kind of stuff that I grew up to be interested in, when this is the kind of stuff. It's like my earliest memories are stuff like this. It's like Animalia is one of the most beautiful books of all time. All right, the robot's right over here. So, gosh, look at those things. They kind of have like a Short Circuit, Johnny Five Alive kind of vibe. Obsessed with those. So yeah, this is just an insanely amazing illustrative piece of my childhood that, man, I love that. So yeah, really fun to look back at Animalia. Try to scoop that back on here if it fits. There we go. Another highlight are the I Spy books, and this was actually the first I Spy book I got. I Spy Fantasy. Oh gosh, look at that, beautiful. I love this kind of stuff. We'll just take one moment to just kind of look through one of these I Spy books, and it'll be this one, the very first one. Saturn, how appropriate. Oh man, that just let's Vaporwave before there was Vaporwave kind of stuff. You know what I mean? This is like the original, real deal kind of stuff. I remember seeing this. I think I got this for the first time in first grade, so I think about 1995. And wow, I remember this one just. I thought this was so cool because all this stuff is kitchen appliances, and I just thought this was so cool as a kid. My mom, I love her to death. She exposed me to so much cool artwork and stuff like that. I blame her for me being a creative person. If that's the right way to put it. I probably didn't put that the right way. But yeah, totally all her fault for making me creative. What a goofy way to put it. So, yeah, we're just having fun. So I went through, obviously the little manga and anime phase, kind of went through that. I want to say about 2000, 2001, 2002, when I was, about 10, 11, 12, maybe even 13. Stuff like this. Okay, so I'm obsessed specifically with Epcot, and obviously that is Epcot right there. It's not here. Maybe it's in Atlanta. There's another one of these books that I had that's Epcot heavy. Let's take a look in here though. Oh my gosh, this might be something I eventually have to scan because Gosh, I love vintage Disney World. I'm not really all that into like new Disney World, but vintage Disney World, specifically Epcot, totally obsessed. It's so cool. Um, I think we're in Epcot now. Yeah, we are. Gosh, look at that. I know it's Epcot. You don't really think about it, but it's just like think of that. That's so beautiful. It's got that whole mid-century modern googie futuristic architecture, Sid Mead inspired. Gosh, I remember that this place I was obsessed with as a kid. I got to go there once in 2001. I don't think it's there anymore. I think they've changed it all up. Like Epcot is so different now. It's no longer like this city of the future like it used to be. But anyway, that's cool. Epcot, love it. Beautiful. We'll put that book back on the shelf. Art throughout the ages. I'm not gonna bore you with that one. Let's see. We already looked at all of this. Oh my gosh. So I need to talk about this. This book is from like, all right. So the originals are from the mid to late 80s, but they put all of these together. So they had like a how to draw people, how to draw cats, how to draw robots, how to draw buildings. They've just squished them all down and compiled them all into one thing in like the mid to late, early to mid 90s, probably 95 or something like that. So this was another one of those, just one of those books that I became obsessed with as a kid. And I had two of them, and they had just so much cool illustration and different kind of stuff like that. One of them was like sci-fi and robots and all this kind of cool stuff. Yeah, here it is. So sci-fi and robots. Yeah, robots and aliens. Look at this stuff, man. I was obsessed with all this as a kid. Absolutely loved these. Look at all these goofy aliens and stuff like this. So yeah, really fun to see all this kind of stuff. You know what? I have another one of these. I know there are two. And I guess the other one is in Atlanta. The other one is like futuristic buildings and space stuff like that. So it's not like this. It's not just buildings. It's specifically like futuristic stuff. But this still is just like really cool. The airbrush stuff. Man, I was obsessed with this book. I carried this book around with me everywhere as a kid. I was obsessed with this piece in particular. I thought this was so cool. And all of my little cities that I would draw as a kid always had a building like this. Man, I was obsessed with the alien's house. And they had some really fun spooky mansion type stuff going on here as well. Ruins and all this kind of stuff. Ancient buildings. Skyscrapers. That was really fun to kind of... oh, man, I was obsessed with this one, too. Like the whole dome city. I guess this is the first time I ever kind of saw... as a kid, you're exposed to different ideas and things through different things, especially back in the 90s. Books and stuff were just such a huge part of your life because the internet was not really a thing for kids in the 90s. I guess my age, I guess like we were the age that really grew up with internet stuff. So, 12, 13 years old in the year like 2003, 2004, something like that. You're kind of making that switch over from VHS and books and stuff like that into internet and doing stuff online with programs and stuff. And I stayed, doing both for a very, very long time. And it's only been probably the past decade that I've been primarily on a computer, like even start on a computer and stuff, and don't do as much drawing. But How to Draw, this book was such an influential piece for me as a kid growing up. Love it. Love to see it. Let's see what else we've got going on in here. This one we're not actually going to look through, but the Jumblies. What a great piece of children's content, the Jumblies. Far and fewer the land where the Jumblies live. Check out this old school ass 80s outer space book. Look how old the font is beautiful. Look at these spacemen. They're like huffing on something. What are they? They look like they're drinking Capri Suns or something, I guess. I don't know what's going on there. So yeah, vintage space book. That's kind of cool. I like seeing stuff like that. What else do we got going on over here that we can take a look at? Star Wars. We're not going to bore you with Star Wars Universal Studios. Where the wild things are. You can't go wrong with that. Probably seeing its better days. Not the best condition. Eric Carle, this guy. My mom would get me all kinds of little Eric Carle books as a kid. We'd rent them from our local library. Fox's Dream. That was another one that I loved as a kid. Barn Dance. I loved that one as a kid as well. Like this little scarecrow guy. He kind of spooky looking, but yeah, that was my G as a kid. You know what I'm saying? Moonlight on the River. That's kind of cool sounding. So yeah, the snowman. If you've ever seen this, it is a sad little piece of Christmas winter content. And just some more stuff. Oh man, I was obsessed with these amazing mazes. I had a few of these as a kid. I've actually got a couple of my kids' books, like the books that I had as a kid in Atlanta with me too, because there are a few things I was expecting to see. I'm like, oh wait, that's like on one of my shelves in Atlanta. I probably need to bring home some of those books and just keep like the stuff that I'm like scanning and talking about and all that kind of stuff. So just more books, more stuff, more things like that. Video game. I was obsessed with cheat codes for Sega Genesis as a kid, and so I had a ton of these Game Master books, and I think there's some other ones over here. Yeah, awesome Sega Genesis secrets and just stuff like that. Some fun classic Star Wars and some Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. These are actually a friend from my friend Eden Woolwine, one of my best friends of all time. So she gave me these, gosh, all the way back, and gosh, we've been friends for like half our lives. So that is an old piece, but just some fun Sonic stuff. I've always been a Sonic nerd, and everybody knows it. So yeah. Fun stuff. And just some fun random things. George Shrink's other kind of just goofy little books. I was obsessed with this. As you can tell, it's like in multiple pieces. The Little Giant Book of Optical Illusions. So this thing, I think this was another one of those big influential pieces on me as a kid. I think I got this when I was in like second grade, maybe around 96, 97. And it's just filled with all kinds of really old stuff, really old designs, optical illusions and stuff that I knew this book inside and out. As you can tell, I literally, I carried this with me everywhere. And I just knew, every single page, full of cool stuff. I even actually rebought this as an adult, so I have a nice, not torn apart piece kind of hanging out at my house back in Atlanta. So one of my favorite pieces, the Little Giant Book of Optical Illusions. Fun stuff. And yeah, more C.S. Lewis. Yeah, of course, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, that whole series, and the Game Master stuff. Want to start gaming 3D decks? You want to start gaming again, but in VR? Yeah, dude, I know what you're saying. I actually, one of my homies, Ben Scarflix, huge shout out to Scarflix. He just helped me set up a brand new computer. We went over to Micro Center and just bought all the pieces, and he built it right there in front of me. So that was amazing to see. And now it's like I have a means to play all these games and stuff like that. So I want to get more into VR and stuff like that too. A few years ago, I was working with Life Vision VR. Shout out to the people associated with that. I'm not sure what they're still doing at this point, but they were really cool, and they were doing a whole lot of VR stuff, and they helped me with the side effects included video, even helped me with my 3D model of Googie, my mascot. That was kind of like a collaboration with them. Like I kind of showed them illustrations of him from all angles. It was like, help me make him into a 3D character, because I suck with 3D stuff. I need to get better with it. So yeah, VR stuff, man. I need to get more into that, more into 3D in general. So this is one a sweet spot for me. I love this whole little era. We have all kinds of cool. Check this out. This was actually a friend from my friend, the Ganellos. This was from Kat DeRosa, their mom. So shout out to the Ganellos and Kat DeRosa, some friends of mine growing up. A whole lot of that, whole lot of friends and family kind of things going on here. So this is goofy. I found this dug this up out of my parents' yard. I guess it's from like the mid '80s, but it looks a lot older than that. Just a bunch of my favorite movies, Excuse me. Let's see, what do we got up here? We got The Crow, obviously. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Y2K crazy one with the Y2K goggles. I bet they're even on the back. Yeah, of course. Boom. I was obsessed with that because it kind of had the. I've just always been obsessed with the big old goggles. You know what I'm saying? These big old goggles. I need those big old goggles. You know what I'm saying? That's always been my look. So I don't know why. It's just always been what I've been attracted to. The Dark Crystal, The Crow. There's some really good stuff. I was really into a lot of the 80s fantasy stuff growing up. So the Neverending Story, Harry Potter, Gremlins. I don't know a single Harry Potter. You know what I'm saying? He's out here. He representing, man. You know what I'm saying? Bill and Ted, Excellent Adventure. Bogus Journey is my favorite. And as I think you saw that was over here on VHS. And I remember actually getting this from the mom and pop's VHS store way back in the day as a kid. But a lot of these, just kind of picked up over the years. Wayne's World, just a bunch of fun stuff. Here's some fun Ninja Turtles, Sonic the Hedgehog, Felix the Cat, the animation show, Samurai Jack, all that cool stuff. Casino. I'm obsessed with De Niro and Pesci and just all that kind of stuff. Scorsese, all that. Indiana Jones, Batman, Watchmen. You know, all this just stuff. Here's some cool stuff. The music selection. So all this KMFDM stuff, Metropolis 2005. So that's all like industrial stuff. I wonder if there's mindless self-indulgent stuff on here. I bet there is. I bet this is the first year that they were like really big like that. Power Man 5000. I was really into Power Man 5000. I used to have a T-shirt way back in the day, but wound up with some chick that I dated. That happens a lot, you know. Let's see. So 9 Inch Nails, of course, David Bowie, KMFDM, Michael Jackson, and right down to Outsiders, American Graffiti. I always love that, like mid-century, you know, the Greasers and Socias, all that kind of stuff that you'd see. Outsiders, that American Graffiti. I love those kind of, that whole era. Love that stuff. The Warriors. Oh man, if you're talking Jet Set Radio and you don't know the Warriors, let me teach you about the Warriors. So much influence, so much style. The Warriors, one of the best. Other good stuff, obviously Blade Runner. We got Star Wars. The Lawnmower Man. Look, you can hate on it all you want, but primitive 3D graphics are freaking cool. And another one of my favorites. Now, all right, before there was Lost in Space, or before there was a Y2K aesthetic, before like Evan Collins and Froyo Tam and the Kari community came along and really coined that thing, I would always refer to this style as just like Dreamcast, 2000s, Lost in Space. I would always reference this movie in particular because this movie had so many particular looks and effects and soundtrack. Everything about this movie is just Y2K AF, and I love this movie. I saw it. My dad and I were obsessed with my dad loved Lost in Space, the show, as a kid. So he kind of got me into it maybe a few months before the movie came out. So I was just obsessed with it. I know it's not regarded as a great movie, but wow, Lost in Space, one of my favorites. I just love it. Likewise with Minority Report. Everybody hates on all the Terminators that came out after the first two, and I totally agree with them except for one, and it is Salvation. I think, what else would you have done with the Terminator movies if it wasn't for Salvation? It feels like the only logical way to go. Obviously, Blade Runner, Pulse. This movie freaking sucks, but when I was in high school, it was like kind of cool because it's like these like evil aliens or something, evil spirits come out of like the internet. Yeah, if you Gen Z have not seen Pulse, it's so goofy. You'll love it. It's like, oh, there's sorry, I don't know why I'm coughing. Actually, I do know why I'm coughing. It's because the smoke and the fog and whatever from those Canadian things are here in Virginia, and you can see it in the distance. And I've noticed I've had like a cough pretty much the entire week that I've been here so far. So that's not fun. District 9, one of my favorites of all time. Shout out Neil Blomkamp, one of the greatest. All that South African stuff like District 9, Neil Blomkamp, Chappie, Deontward, all that stuff. So cool. Love that. Another one of those highly controversial movies in some aspects, the Super Mario Brothers, the original. I love this movie as a kid. Before I knew anything about Blade Runner here, it was all about the Super Mario Brothers aesthetic. Because I didn't realize Blade Runner kind of set the tone for so many different things that came after that, specifically in kids' entertainment. So let's look up here. This is a fun little section. So we have old school. Actually, check out these old school. I think these are called jukes. This is called a juke, if I'm not mistaken. I think this does the same thing. Yep. California Raisin with the boombox. You know, we had to have the boombox because, you know, we're the boombox boys. This little thing, these things are always cool. I think I've just always thought these were cool. I don't know what you call them, or they don't really have a purpose or whatever. They're just fun. Whole lot of CDs. So these are all burned, and these are all real CDs. So there's obviously some CD cases and stuff over there. But oh no, I just dropped my copy of Snoop Dogg's Woof. So we got to make sure that goes back here where it belongs. Let's take a moment really quick to just check out all these CDs. Starting out with DJ Icy. Some really fun 2000s electro dance music. That's stuff I just love. This kind of music. Always loved it. It kind of reminded me of music you'd hear from Jet Set Radio and stuff. That's why I bought it. Wow. Let's talk about Billy Nasty Zoom. So this was kind of like my introduction to electronic music. Way back in the mid-90s, I think I acquired this around 96, 97. My dad is a big martial arts guru. He's done all kinds of martial arts stuff. He's been on martial arts magazines, and he's worked with some of the biggest names. Joe Lewis, who worked with Bruce Lee. So my dad was like one one step away. You know that you're always 6 steps away from somebody. My dad was one step away from Bruce Lee because he did all this kind of stuff. And one of his main sparring guys was a few years younger than him, and kind of like the generation that we typically, especially like all the people on my server, I know that we are looking at their generation stuff. So he was really into techno and electronica music back then. And when he and my dad would spar, he would bring over these dance music mixes. So yeah, so this is from '96. So I probably got this about '97 when I was about 8 years old. And I remember I was obsessed with this CD so much. Wow. One of my favorites of all time. If you want to check this out, just check out Zoom Billy Nasty. It's about an hour long. One of the coolest mixes you're ever gonna hear. And one of the earliest mix I ever really got as a kid. Other stuff that I was obsessed with, Babylon Zoo. One of the first bands I ever became super obsessed with. I wouldn't say the first. The first maybe it was Eiffel 65 or maybe something like the Jock Jams or something like that. But Babylon Zoo was one of the first ones. I sought this CD out for so long. This was coming from an era where kids weren't necessarily on the internet and using Amazon and eBay to buy stuff, so I didn't really have access to buy stuff online. But I found this local chick, and she had this CD, and it just kind of worked out. I was so surprised that after years, I think about 2 or 3 years of searching, I finally found it. Crystal Method, another one of my favorites. The Cardigans. This album is one of the best of all time. Gran Turismo, Postal Service, of course, obviously. Looks like we have some burn stuff in here. So some stuff from friends, family, and stuff like that. Fun little mix. Ooh, we've got the Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack. How cool is that? That actually came out way back in the day when the game first came out. Whole lot of cool stuff. Some Epitaph, Punkorama stuff, the Lost in Space, Mortal Kombat soundtracks. These were such a major influence on me as a kid. I was obsessed, straight up obsessed with the Mortal Kombat and Lost in Space soundtracks. They had so much cool industrial, dance, metal, so much alternative music from the 90s. And as a kid, when I was like probably 11, 12, probably, and I got these, I think around 2000, 2001, and 2002 was the time when I was really discovering this kind of stuff. I got so obsessed with it. I wanted to look like the artists who are on these soundtracks. I wanted to like make that kind of music. I was obsessed with it. Like KMFDM, everything from like Wax Trax Records, all that kind of stuff. So obsessed. More fun stuff. What a eclectic mix. We've got Outkast, Depeche Mode. Who is this? Oh, more Depeche Mode. More Depeche Mode. Pink Floyd, Sum 41. We've got some pop punk going on, Blink-182, and some real punk going on. Pennywise, Epitaph Records, shout out. This is a fun little eclectic mix. Professional Murder Music. These guys I discovered from the Jet Set Radio soundtrack, the original, the American Jet Grind Radio, and got obsessed with these guys. And look at that cool album artwork. Johnny Cash went through a heavy Johnny Cash phase. Obviously a American legend, so gotta shout out Johnny Cash, of course. What all we got over here? We've got an Esh. So one of the members of KMFDM did I was really obsessed with KMFDM and all of their side projects. So yeah, whole lot of KMFDM stuff. Some Marilyn Manson. Oh, what's that? Is that a CBZL CD? So this is my CD from 2000. This was actually 2 CDs. This was my 2008 CD and my 2009 CD. Best songs from both on one. And what is this, y'all? What is this? I think there are a few people here who are going to be a little obsessed with seeing this right here. So shout outs to y'all. Gonna Get God, The O, Triple G, all that kind of stuff. This was a local hip hop guy, Rhythm Regime. So my very first, so Earl and T-Dub. T-Dub, I believe. Wow. Let's see. So my friend Seth, I believe he was T-Dub, and Seth was the guy who kind of recorded my first recordings when I was going by Fusillade. It was kind of before CBZL and Porcelain Smile and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, funny to see that it's like everything's kind of mixed in together. This is a fun little CD rack. We got Skinny Puppy and Punkorama, Progacon. Wow, talk about some cool electronic music from the 90s. I would just pick stuff up at CD stores. You don't see them anymore, but the same way that there are, people think about record stores. When I was a kid, there were CD stores, and you'd buy used CDs for practically nothing. And that's how I acquired such a huge collection of CDs over the years. A lot of used stuff. I always loved stuff like the Punkorama stuff. Compilations, the X Games compilation. He is legend. I played in a band called Porcelain Smile, and we ended up doing a lot of stuff with He Is Legend. And actually, I shouldn't say we. We were obsessed with them when I was in the band, and I kind of left to do stuff that sounded more like Beastie Boys and Mindless Self-Indulgence and Gorillaz and The Prodigy, and they continued to kind of in the footsteps of He Is Legend, and they ended up opening up for him and all that kind of stuff. Shout outs to all the Porcelain Smile dudes. Those are my guys. Actually, just 2 or 3 days ago, I was over with one of the guys from Porcelain Smile, bought a house out on the lake that we grew up in. Oh, you were in the Triple G shirt. That is so dope, Solana. But yeah, I was hanging out with one of the Porcelain Smile guys. He just bought a house out on the lake that we would always go to growing up out here. It is so much fun. And yeah, we were just kind of hanging out and reminiscing. There's going to be some Porcelain Smile stuff on the way soon. Soon as the Bandcamp Fridays right now are lacking. So we just haven't had a Bandcamp Friday in a minute. So I might be putting out some stuff, even though it's not Bandcamp Friday, some throwbacks from some of my old music projects and bands and stuff like that. So if you're into industrial goth stuff, check out Deathline International Cyber. Nobody knows about it. It looks like Gorillaz, but it sounds like KMFDM, and it was just freaking cool. Late 90s, early 2000s kind of stuff. What else is going on in here? This is some type of mix I got at a Hot Topic. The Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. So this was, it says from and inspired by. Like, none of these songs were from the CD or from the soundtrack. They were not even inspired by. They were just a bunch of cool songs that they just, I guess Tony Hawk was like, let's throw a mixtape together, y'all. And that's what it was. What do I say? I was a goth kid. Check out Metropolis out here with BD Phaser. Shout out to Bureau Destruct. You know what I'm saying? It's funny looking back and thinking, I've been looking at this font since goddamn 2003, man. I've been looking at this font for 20 years. No wonder it's one of my favorite fonts of all time. Funny stuff, how you just see these kind of things, and wild. I got Orgy, Power Man 5000, Birthday Massacre, the first Did Star Assembly CD before they were like big. I mean, they never got really big, but this first CD I always thought was really cool. Never really got into their later stuff. Went through a little phase. A lot of my friends were into like hardcore and metal kind of stuff. So I wound up with some like As I Lay Dying and Showbread. Showbread is actually really cool. If you haven't ever heard of Showbread, a really cool album. Yeah, just more CDs, a whole lot of CDs. Zeromancer, more industrial stuff. I was a industrial goth kid, so you gotta work with me there. Alice DJ, I was obsessed with that. That came out, gosh, 1999. So I probably got that about 2000. Yeah, I started out really into the happy techno music like Eiffel 65 and Alice DJ, and then got really into the soundtrack music, big beat stuff, Fatboy Slim, Crystal Method, all that kind of stuff, and then got more into the like new metal, KMFDM, Nine Inch Nails, and all that kind of stuff, and then got into the cheesy stuff like Static X and just like the dumb stuff like that. System of a Down is really good though. Rob Zombie, of course. Orgy, I would say, is sort of like Static X, a little bit more on the cheesy side, but still fun, you know. Obviously Linkin Park. Now here's everybody my age was obsessed with this. No matter who you are, you had these. This was the trilogy, the Linkin Park trifecta, if you will. And I got no regrets right now. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how it is. I actually rediscovered this album recently. Wow, this is a magical album. Millencolin, Home from Home on Epitaph Records. I got this right when it first came out. It was one of these songs was on one of those sampler discs. Epitaph would always put out all these kind of sampler discs, and I was really into punk rock. I would say at the same time that I was into the big beat stuff. So at that era, like Jet Set Radio, big beat, punk rock, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, really into all that. Fun stuff. More CDs, some Deftones, soundtracks, System of a Down, Offspring, more Power Man, all that kind of stuff. Him, Big Willie style. You got to shout out to Will Smith, man. I loved Will Smith back in the day, dude. Feel bad for him now, but back in the day, you know what I mean? Will Smith. Rammstein. I was obsessed with Rammstein. Power Man, more Power Man 5000. Korn, Static X. So this is some of the just the cheesy metal stuff that was happening when I was in high school. That some of these CDs, people would get. I remember Korn and stuff, like people would just give me CDs. Like we would trade CDs and stuff. I had a homie and his favorite bands, he would just like, his favorite band was Korn, and he was like, I don't need their CDs because I've listened to them and I just know them, so I'm giving all their CDs. I didn't buy a single Korn CD. I probably didn't buy half of these metal CDs. They were just Homies would just be like, dude, check out this band and give you a CD and you'd wind up with it. I did like Static X, I won't lie. They still have a couple of songs to this day that I won't lie, still kind of go hard. I know it's cheesy, I know. Breathe Carolina. That's funny to see. Oh, the Black Eyed Peas. This is some funny stuff, you know what I'm saying? Vondells, that's going to be coming out sometime soon. Rays, this was like Christian techno, so like, you know what I'm saying? Check that out. Oh my God, dude. One of the best future sex love sounds by Justin Timberlake. This was a definitive record of my senior year of high school. And it just felt like, because I spent the other 3 years into like mindless self-indulgence and all this like goth stuff, that when this came out, I was like, why do I love Justin Timberlake? It doesn't make sense, but it was such a good album. Kind of wild how great of an album that was. Comedy, Mitch Hedberg, all kinds of good stuff. Yeah, so that is just a really fun little CD rack. We're not even going to go through this other CD rack. Sorry, guys. Little technical difficulties for 1 second while I get this back up on the shelf. There we go. Cool. So that's fun. Let's take a look at the Sonic section. So obviously we have a Sega Saturn. We have a Sega Genesis 3. This little thing is, oh no, dropped an old microphone. We're going to set that down over here. Let's go through here and see what games are lurking in this little piece. I believe we have nothing but Sega Game Gear stuff in here. Sonic Blast. Wow, Sonic Blast. We've got Axe Battler, A Legend of Golden Axe. Gosh, I wish I even remembered that. I didn't even remember that. Sonic Spinball, of course, a classic. I pretty much only had a Game Gear for Sonic. I'm not going to lie. I was obsessed with Sonic. Some Streets of Rage. You know, these are all just Sonic games. It's not really all that interesting, I guess. It's Sonic games, you know. There's a limited number of them. They're all there. Probably not all of them, but plenty of them. So yeah, a bunch of really fun Sega stuff, Sonic games, Sonic handheld games. I remember getting that really, really young, probably first or second grade. One of my introductions to Sonic was about that era. These things, little pocket arcades, these were a lot of fun. Let's take a look at this. Let me open this up really quick. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 on Pocket Arcade. So we had a whole little stack of these pocket arcades. There is the Sonic OVA on VHS. I remember seeing that in 1999 at the Software Etc. and being obsessed with it. I remember me and my best friend, Matt, when Sonic Adventure came out, we both got these and just this whole little thing. What a fun little era. Here's a cool little thing. I want to show this off for a second. So this was Sonic the Hedgehog's 10th anniversary, and I got this when Sonic Adventure 2 came out for the Sega Dreamcast. And inside, let's see if it's still there. Nope, the disc is gone. The disc is probably most likely in one of these two. Yeah, one of these two. And just dropped the booklet. There's this cool little booklet with all kinds of stories. And I remember it had the whole story about... it had this story. Let's look at this really quick. Sonic Episode 1. It was this story about how there's this kid and his hair looks just like a hedgehog and he was a pilot and all this kind of stuff. Look this up. It was cool. And it's different and something that you feel like you never hear about. But yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. Obsessed with Sonic the Hedgehog. There is a Sonic the Hedgehog birthday cake. I wonder if anybody has that archived somewhere online in that same style. Cool. Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog. And there's even a little coin, but it is not here. Who knows where it is? It's somewhere. I know I kept all that kind of stuff. Just not exactly sure where it wound up. All these games, Metroid, Klonoa, little Dreamcast section. This is definitely not all the Dreamcast games. A lot of them cases, you know, as a kid, you lose cases and stuff like that. Yak Backs, all this fun stuff. My favorite Sonic character, gosh, I mean, obviously Sonic the Hedgehog specifically, it sounds basic, but man, Sonic the Hedgehog himself was so influential because like as a kid, I was just obsessed. Knuckles, I was obsessed with Knuckles also as a kid. And I really liked Jet, I believe his name is, the green bird guy who was in that one game where they're like hoverboarding or whatever. I always thought he had a really cool kind of look. I I've always, yeah, I love animals, y'all. I just think animals are so cool, and I just thought it was cool that they did a bird character, and I thought that it was cool that he was like green and they were hoverboarding, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would say those are my three favorite Sonic characters: Sonic, Knuckles, and Jet. I'd say those are the top three for me. Metal Sonic goes hard as F2. I also really appreciate Metal Sonic. So here we are in the music section. Let's take a look. So obviously I have told you all I was obsessed with KMFDM. So I have pretty much all of the original KMFDM. I have the singles, all the remixes, some of their side projects, stuff like that. Whole lot of local bands, local music, local stuff. Planning on getting that up at some point or another. We are Porcelain Smile, my band from the early and mid 2000s. The American Graffiti soundtrack. Some of that cheesy new metal stuff, and just a lot of fun stuff over there. Let's see what we have over here. Oh, this was the Scene Kid era, the mid 2000s. I have some CDs from that era: 303, LMFAO, all that kind of stuff. The entire Beastie Boys collection, of course. Mindless Self-Indulgence. Let's take a moment really quick and check out. This is probably the only deep cut here. This all my other MSI stuff is in Atlanta with me. But check out that one. That is a specifically retro deep cut. Let's see if the CD's in here. It should be. It is the Bitches Molly single from Mindless Self-Indulgence. Wow. All songs reduced and deranged by the James Sisters. Urine and Gallus, Industrial Jungle Pussy Punk. Gosh, I remember getting this and just being like, whoa, what a deep cut. How did I luck out with that one? Mindless Self-Indulgence. Mindless Self-Indulgence, ladies and gentlemen. This actually has that, hello and welcome to Mindless Self-Indulgence. What is it called? It's on here. What is it? Oh, that's it. 777. Yeah, that's it. Look up 777 Bitches by Mindless Self-Indulgence. You will not be disappointed. It is funny. Mindless Self-Indulgence, we got the 9 Inch Nails collection. A whole lot of 9 Inch Nails halos. Not all of them, but plenty of them. We got some David Bowie stuff. What else we got? We got the Rob Zombie, the Skinny Puppy. Enter the Haggis. They were like a Irish Canadian punk kind of band. Anyway, they came to the town that I grew up in Virginia, and so I was really into them at one point, and they still have some songs that go really hard. Yeah, a lot of industrial. We got Dead Z, Rob Zombie, Power Man, the Beatles, Pink Floyd. We got our psychedelic era right down here. And our little American, outlaw country era right down here, of course. Marilyn Manson down there at the bottom as well. The punk rock era, man. I just love music. I love music so much. And I feel like so many of the eras that I've gone through since, I never got to collect on CD. I've gone through a really big Latin jazz, bossa nova thing. That's what I've really been on, I'd say, the past decade and stuff. And I don't have any of it really on CD. I have some of it on vinyl with me in Atlanta, but not here at home in the old collection. Now, this is some really cool deep cut stuff. Front 242. Some of this kind of stuff. Chem Lab, all that kind of stuff. Some of those are very rare CDs, honestly. We got some local stuff. We were in the hip hop section, obviously. We got the Illbots, Eminem, Lil Wayne, all that kind of stuff, and some 80s synth pop kind of stuff mixed in. Not necessarily the best organization, but here's a cute little robot thing. Some chick got me at some point. It's how life is, what I'm saying? Some chick gets you some little robot thing at some point. It happens once or twice or 3 times, you know what I'm saying? Punk rock with the shit, you know what I'm saying? Punk rock with it. These are all the belt buckles I used to rock back in the day. This was a fun time. Watch, Quicksilver watch. Gosh, I remember getting this. Gosh, look at that. Look at the time. It looks like the year 2000 to me. You know what I'm saying? Gosh, I probably got that in 2001, I'd say. Here's some fun stuff. So Vivid, Vondell stuff. Obviously, there was a band called Vivid. What you don't know is I had a college project called Vivid where it was gumballs. Seriously, it was gumballs. It was part of a packaging class that I took in college. So was this. This was Purple Rain, named after the Prince the album. It was a drink based on that. Vondell music equipment. That was a little a college kind of project that I had to do. These are some of the bars that I would frequent back in my college days. Good times, and more just electronic junk. I like electronic junk, so gotta have all that. You know what I'm saying? The goggles of all time, if you will. And here's just a pile of just cool, fun things. I remember getting this at Books A Million in like 1997. And Laserport, if you've ever been to Laserport and Gallenberg. That's from sometime in the 90s, maybe the 2000s. Blade Runner, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Porcelain Smile. Check out that Porcelain Smile pin. That is ancient. Some old glasses. Mindless Self-Indulgence pin. Yeah, a whole lot of fun stuff. Felix the Cat. Loved Felix the Cat. Oh, man. We've looked at some pretty cool stuff, and I think we're nearing the end. We've been on here for about an hour, so that would make sense that we're getting close to the end. So in here, this is pretty much, let me move this down. This, my Sonic the Hedgehog comic book collection. I was a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan, obviously. Let me state it again. I was a nerd for Sonic the Hedgehog, y'all. I was a nerd for the kid, man. And yeah, this was part of when Sega was putting out these Sonic. I was buying these as they were coming out. The Sega Dreamcast Sonic Adventure tie-in. I mean, I was buying these off the rack at Books A Million mostly, but sometimes I'd have to go to Walden Books if I missed one, or vice versa. Wow, somehow these are actually in order. Almost everything in my life is out of order, but these, the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book collection, one of the few things in my life that somehow remained in order over all these years. And yeah, there are a lot of them. I don't think these are totally in order, because I mean, it feels like there's some things that have to be missing here. Oh man, did I just, oops, don't want to unfold that. So yeah, a whole lot of Sonic the Hedgehog comics, Sonic Super Specials, all kinds of old, kind of, I don't want to say rare, but definitely vintage stuff. Oh, yo, check that out, Oni. I see this kind of stuff. I see, you know, gosh, I was a nerd for all this old stuff way back in the day. And you still see it all these years later. Robotech. Look at that Bionicle, a comic book. That's hilarious. And Spider-Man. A lot of these I remember getting for free. A whole lot of free comic books. And I remember I was paying for the Sonic the Hedgehog comic books and Ultimate X-Men. I was obsessed with Ultimate X-Men. I was paying for those too. But some of this other stuff, you know, free comic book day and different things like that. Let's see what else we've got here. I remember we had a family friend who gave me his entire 80s and early 90s comic book collection. So shout out to a guy named Bobby, nearly 30 years ago. Gave me a big old collection of comic books. The Marvel Mangaverse. Something to check out if you are a fan of Marvel and anime. You're going to flip. I got this way back in the day, probably 20 years ago, if not more, 21 years ago. And I was obsessed. Another original from way back in the day is the Sonic the Hedgehog official strategy guide for Sega Dreamcast. Take your game further, from Brady Games. Pretty cool. I was obsessed with that. Hold on one second. Get this a little bit more even. Cool. More Sonic stuff. All these early 2000s video game magazines, specifically related to Dreamcast stuff. Ooh La La, of course. I think I just got this one for Ooh La La. I don't think there's like, I'm sure there's probably something Sonic the Hedgehog in here as well. Yeah, there it is. Sonic Adventure 2. Hold on one second. I'm going to put this back in and see if there's any other really good ones. It's kind of all these books piled up or make it a little bit harder. Gosh, I have some really old Sega magazine. I think there's a Sega magazine, Game Informer, all this stuff, man. This is old school Dreamcast, Phantasy Star. Man, I love this stuff when I was a kid. Black Belt. So my dad was in Black Belt magazine. He's been on the cover of Black Belt magazine, and my dad's just a contributor to Black Belt magazine. Like I think I said earlier in the stream, my dad is a big martial arts guy. So when I was a kid, the Ninja Turtles and being part of this, you know, martial arts stuff, my dad being martial arts, I was kind of like I don't want to say like connected in any way, but it was just a smaller world back then. And I remember on one of the making of Ninja Turtles things, one of the guys was wearing a shirt with my dad's martial arts thing, IKEA. It may have been Karate College, one of the things that my dad has done over the years. It was really popular back in the late 80s and early 90s. And it was just really funny to see all that kind of stuff. Black Belt magazine and all that kind of stuff. So fun to see. Oh, this is the book that I was looking for. Sweet. So this Walt Disney World book right here, this has some really cool stuff in it. Let's take a moment really fast to check this out. I specifically remember there's some Epcot stuff in here that's just wild. Where is it? Maybe it's Tomorrowland. No, I think Tomorrowland's just part of, here we are, here, Spaceship Earth. Yeah, all this cool Epcot stuff. Oh, that's my son. That is my son right there. If you've been following me on social media for the past few years, you know that is my boy. That's my son. He lives at Epcot. I had him when I was 6, and he's my son. Universe of Energy. God, everything about this, y'all. I'm just obsessed. Everything about all this old Epcot. Look at all this stuff. I was obsessed with Body Wars. I thought it was so cool. You shrink down and you go inside somebody's body. It's like Star Wars, but you're in a body. I don't know. I thought this shit was so cool as a kid. Horizons, wow. Horizons had the logos. Look up the Disney Horizons logos. You will not be disappointed. It looks like some stuff, almost like a Y2K icons kind of stuff. It has that kind of vibe. World of Motion, man. So yeah, this book. I'm glad we saw that. I thought that I was unsure of where that was. It was over here next to all the comic books. So this down right over here. Check out the aliens and the jukebox. You know what I'm saying? Make yourself at home, y'all. Make yourself at home. There's the car. We got the dice. Yeah, so that's some fun stuff. Check this out. This is fun. I thought this thing was so cool when I was a kid. My cat. Check her out while I'm trying to open this thing. There we go. Wild Planet. Explorer's Watch. I thought this was so cool as a kid. Yes, so I think, unless anybody wants to specifically check out something, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Showing you all kinds of cool stuff, cool toys, CDs, all kinds of fun stuff like that. We didn't even take a look at any of the artwork. We spent over an hour at this point, looking at all this other stuff. It's been a blast. So thank you so much for tuning in. We're gonna be doing a lot more live streaming stuff. I just set up a new computer with one of my really good friends. His name's Ben Scarflix. Shout out to Scarfleet. Some pretty cool stuff. What is mindless self-indulgence t-shirt? Look at that. That's just too funny. Oh, memories, man. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in and checking out all this stuff with me. It's been a lot of fun. If there's anything specific y'all want to see, shout it out. If not, we'll probably be hopping off here soon. But live streaming is going to be a normal thing kind of coming up. Ben Scarflix helped me set up a new computer. So I'm going to be kind of using that and live streaming sessions from here on out. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm still obviously going to be doing YouTube content and videos and stuff like that and new kits. We got some really fun new templates on the way that I think you all are going to like a lot. Some new icons and stuff. Some of it is already available over on my Patreon for some of the higher tier patrons. So make sure to go check that out if you're not already one of those. And for all of you who are higher tier patrons who are supporting me and stuff, thank you all so much. I seriously greatly appreciate the support. It's very greatly appreciated with the work that I'm doing. So I think we're all wrapped up there, everybody. It's been a blast. Hey, what's up, Vampire Vlogs? Yep, we are hopping off here. Bye. Take care. Have a great one, everybody. And I'll talk to you all on my Discord. Looking forward to some fun stuff coming up. We're going to be, like I said, looking at some new icon kits and stuff like that. I have some free stuff dropping very soon. So stay tuned. Stay posted. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Take care, y'all.